This course is called Not Quite Doubled, which is the name of one of my 5 systems from my book called Rhythm Knowledge Volume 2, which you can read about on rhythmknowledge.com. What this system does is it allows a non-musician, a non-drummer, and a drummer to recognize any rhythmic pattern, as well as to be able to execute it. All you need to learn this system is to be able to count to 10. That's why anybody can do it. It's for a non-musician. You just can hit anything that's in front of you, basically. And for a non-drummer, let's say a guitarist's down and up stroke works similarly to a drummer's right and left, pianist, right and left, bass player, index and middle. So there's a lot of ways to relate other instruments to the drums. The way this course unfolds is that I explain what this system is and why it works and how it breaks down all rhythms that could possibly exist. And then what we do is go through a series of steps to wire us from the inside out. The interesting thing about the enjoyment of music or not is whether or not a very specific area of the brain is activated, which can process it. A lot of times, music can be seen as complex or uncomfortable because it takes work to listen to it. A lot of people just want to put music on and move. But that's the thing, is that moving in an undisturbed way is comfortable, whereas odd rhythms put the downbeat in between the motions and it becomes very uncomfortable for people. It doesn't take that much to unblock this, which is again why it can translate to anybody or any instrumentalist, and especially drummers, since other musicians are putting their notes on top of our notes, which have to land with some kind of connection to time in some way, shape, or form. So this system helps us establish how to have a solid time base. And since it works with mostly prime numbers between 1 and 20, it accounts for being able to process, recognize, and digest really any kind of music that's going to be out there. So it's fantastic. And it's really the beauty of the system, is how it opens us up to enjoying more kinds of music that we previously might not have. And even playing things we might not have been able to play because we didn't get that the beat skipped and we didn't know where the phrase was and it was complicated and we have to count it and nobody likes counting. So this system makes that really easy. These videos that allow any musician to practice with me take care of the hardest part about skill development, which would be the discipline. The repetition. That's the tough part. There are 3 stages of learning. We learn what something is, then we learn to develop the skill by repetition, and then we learn to use it. It's that repetition phase that's always the hardest because we get so bored. After all, we know this thing that we're trying to attain. And you need a lot of patience to let your body have the time to, solidify the skills. That's the hard part. So if nothing else, at least you have company. But the interesting thing about these practice alongs is that you could double up the tempo if you wanted to work on your chops. You could use any limb pair. You could play any pattern on your instrument, on any instrument. You could improvise the whole time if that's what you want to do. I use bass drum sounds to kind of stay out of the way. So you could really use any sound you want, and you'll still hear that 2/4 beat to be able to, feel a groove at least. And if speed is the thing you want to attain, well, after this is all said and done, you use a metronome and put it on. Because the funny thing is about these videos and the way they're constructed, there's space between the notes. And you can let your creative juices flow, and because of the space between the notes, you get to hone your control over your body because the space is bigger. That's why the tempo is slower, in addition to the fact that people might need it to be slow to be able to step through this. But eventually, it goes fast enough for purposes where the notes occur where it would be difficult to put notes within the notes. So at that point, you can bail out and use a metronome or just double up the tempo, because I'll tell you what, you can work on your chops. Again, you could work on polyrhythms. You could play patterns over the bar, and the slower ones will give you time to process where you are. So there's a host of things you can do with these, and that's why they're an hour apiece, and that's why there are 9 of them. If you've ever sat at your instrument trying to strengthen your weak links, like different combinations of fingers or limbs, and you realize it was probably a lifetime of work, don't worry. My clockwise, counterclockwise limb system puts every possibility into a very, very brief, quick exercise that you can step through.
Out of the 6 pairs that we normally perceive our body to have. 1. So, I'm going to count the same fashion. A 1, 2, 4.
By the time you finish this course and go through whatever level of play along you can manage, the light bulb is going to go off, and you'll realize that those earlier videos that you might want to go back and take a listen to that speak about simply replacing one limb with another really weren't about that. The course was about what to think and when to think it. You know, by now, you'll realize that this is a really delicate process to play a beast instrument like this or any instrument. That's why the course is for beginners or advanced. If you learn the part of the system where you were able to play 4, 8, or 16 notes per pair, now you're ready to wire up your body and your mind properly over here with me. The thing is, this is a huge step where you're either writing new memories or rewriting old ones, and it's a very delicate process. It's not something you want to risk. So having me right here, you're able to see me make adjustments in my posture, and you'll see my technique and everything that I'm paying attention to inspire you to do the same. It's just like a drum lesson, except I'm not looking at you saying, "Up, sit up," every 2 minutes. But by seeing me do it, it'll remind you to do it. Another really cool thing about this is if you're a string instrument player like a guitarist or a wind instrument player like a saxophone player, guess what? You got 4 of these. Like I have 4 of these. And so when I look out and see my body, I could just easily look at my hand and see, okay, that's my right hand, that's my right foot, that's my left foot, and that's my left hand. Plus, my rhythm knowledge book literally says that. And you know what? If let's say a guitarist and a saxophonist each copied this system, all right, and said, this is going to be a great 4-finger system, you'd be stuck playing their notes. You're going to practice with the metronome anyway. Why not have a live metronome? Because my audio is panned, so it's going to match what you see when you look at your fingers from this perspective. Just like the drummer's going to see their full limbs when they look down at their body. The other thing is that I'm your mirror image in this. You see that pearl percussion tray over there? It's on my right-handed side, but when you see the videos, it's on the other side because I flipped the image. So it would be just like a lesson, and just like you're in the room with me for as long as you want. So the main objective here is to be able to play through a tempo from front to back, top to bottom, without stopping. The thing is, your individual limb speed and their pairing speeds, that's not the main focus here. Those will increase rapidly because you are correctly wiring all of your weak links, and you're correctly wiring your mind's ability to communicate through your brain to these limbs. It's almost like if one of your limbs is weak, it means it doesn't understand the language. It's like looking at your brain going, what? But now you're strengthening that signal sending process. That's where the lightning speed comes in. That's where your limbs are going to get faster by default. So this system isn't about limb speed. That's a derivative. This is about limb pairing and assignment speed, which therefore gets you more speed and strength. And if you do it the right way, your balance is going to increase. That's going to make you more powerful and more quick as well. The final step in this series is to be able to play an entire set from front to back. But you have to be careful how you do that, and here's how. Let's just say the last tempo in the set is shaky. Well, the thing you don't want to do is start practicing just below that and get to that and then push yourself. Because what will happen defeats the purpose of this whole system and all the hard work that you did prior to that moment. Meaning, if you practice things that are shaky, then you're going to train all these balance shifts to have flaws. And you're going to train each of the limbs to push themselves in a way that's not proper. And what you're really doing is learning to be flawed. And you will never fix that shaky tempo. So the thing to do is to identify it, go back, do the whole set for 45 minutes, because that's going to wire you so solidly that by the time you get to the last tempo, it will not be shaky anymore. Eventually, it'll get fixed up, and then you can move forward without having bad memories or without wasting the hard work you put in and the time you put in to wire yourself properly. So that's how to do it, all right? Gauge by that last tempo and fix stuff. This is a technique course that involves the hands, the feet, and the entire body. That's the rhythm knowledge way. You know, isolating things is necessary at times, but really not, because you can't cut off your hand and separate it from the brain and the rest of the body, which it still has to manage. So just know that is why the full body is included with this particular course, and that it is vital, absolutely vital information. I mean, if you're a beginner, absolutely. And if you, let's say you're advanced, and to what level does that mean? Well, eventually we're all going to have speed blocks, but the solutions are real. The solutions can be gotten to from the information in this video, because I've covered, let's say with the feet, the only 4 ways you could strike a drum, a bass drum or a pedal with it. But I don't go into the minutia of the spring tension and ball of the foot, and I tap into and touch upon the kind of angle to have, but it's very brief. The reason I don't go into it in detail is because we have to get these like mothership techniques first, you know, like the thing running the show. And with the hands, I'll use a safe technique that can morph into all the other ones, because we're built slightly differently, you know. I mean, you're going to have questions. You can see clearly what I'm doing with my hands. Absolutely. There's no question about it, and I speak about it. There's no stone left unturned with that. But there's a whole field of stones as far as, wow, the joints and the different fingers and different exercises and the combinations and the angles with which we come in to strike a drum and those things. Those are not in this course because it would convolute the issue. This course is vital information for technique with hands, the feet, and the whole body. And probably you could solve your solutions yourself based on this information, but I'll make some courses, and if you don't get the information from me, at least get it from someone with the experience of touring. I'm talking not days or weeks, I'm talking months in a row. The reason I say that is not that there isn't valuable information from someone that can just do something in a bedroom or something, or a room. It's just still a person moving, but all it takes is one hit with the hands in certain situations, and I've seen careers end, and I've seen careers get compromised from a hit. Playing in an arena that has ice, like an ice hockey arena, you know? People approaching the whole speed thing for the sake of it and incorrectly, you know, trying to bust out the faster tempos for longer periods of time. You know, I have peers that have had to have surgery, and that's it for them. You've got to be careful. So the information in this video comes from experience. Yeah, flying and then playing, being fatigued for weeks or months. What do you do then? I can be the biggest hypocrite on the planet and throw all this stuff out the window because I'm just so tired and fatigued. But the information in this course will not allow that to happen. It will embed itself. You'll remind yourself like an alarm system just not to do a few certain things because you don't want hernia trouble or anything else down there. And, you don't want wrist issues. And there's a big difference between fatigue and pain. So enjoy this course. It will make all the difference in the world and maybe even provide a path for where you can go and who you can go to get more of the minutia, whether it's me or someone else. Alrighty.